Yeah, man!
Hello, my name is Miguel and today I'm gonna make for you saltfish pumpkin rice. Saltfish pumpkin rice. So you're gonna need rice. I am using white rice today. Onion, half onion, springtime. 2 garlic cloves, 1 leaf scallion, pumpkin, half between 3/4 pound pumpkin, half pound saltfish or codfish. I'm using coconut oil. 2 tablespoons between 1/4 cup cooking oil. Water. Visit JamaicanDinners.com or JamaicanCookings.com for the recipe. First, prepare vegetables. Peel garlic clove. Grind garlic clove to puree or mash it to pulp. Onion. Cut onion in half. Peel it. Remember now, the first layer of the onion is the strongest. Don't waste it. Dice onion fine. You could add whole Scotch bonnet pepper or half Scotch bonnet pepper. Keep it on the top and watch it every time you stir. If using pepper, keep it on the top and every time you stir, watch it. Well, I'm not using pepper today. Scallion. The scallion is optional. If using scallion, don't use plenty. Just use like a leaf. And then wash it well with water and vinegar and then rinse it before you diced it. Do the same thing for the springtime. You don't want plenty, just about a finger or less than a finger. Springtime. Next, prepare pumpkin. Use a sharp knife. Gutter pumpkin. Remove the seed part and the trash that's in the middle. I thought it was recording, but it wasn't. However, this is what you do. Just peel pumpkin thin to the skin. I didn't record this part. However, just cut it off. And then peel pumpkin. Remember, cut away from you. Peeling the pumpkin might be a little bit challenging. However, remember to cut away from you and be patient. Wash and rinse the pumpkin as well. Next, shred pumpkin to puree. Just use this little small garlic grater that I use to grind garlic and shred the pumpkin to puree or pulp. Or you could use the second or third finest holes on a grater and shred the pumpkin to puree. I used half pound pumpkin. However, you could get away with using 3/4 pounds of pumpkin. This is the vegetable seasonings. Put it aside for later. Do not add salt to this recipe. Next, prepare codfish or saltfish. Traditionally, people would just wash off the salt off the saltfish, boil it, and then allow it to cool and then use a knife to scrape off the scale. However, I like to just take off the scale before I boil it. So what I do is get a knife or use my finger, get between the skin and the flesh of the codfish or saltfish. Just carefully rip off the codfish's skin. It will come off easy once you get under the skin. If you're unsure what to do, look, do this. Wash off the excess salt that is on the codfish. It's best if you do this part under fresh running water. Rinse it 1 or 2 times. After that, put it in a pan. Put it in a saucepan or a pot add enough water, just enough water to boil the codfish, and then put it to heat. Turn the stove's flame gauge on. Put the stove's flame gauge on 4 medium low. Allow to boil for 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, turn the stove off. Remove the cooked codfish from the boiling water or just pour off the boiling water. After that, rinse the codfish once or twice and then allow it to drain. Or use your hand. Squeeze the excess water off. Now, but I got squeeze out the nutrient out of the codfish now. Squeeze it softly. Next, remove the codfish's bone. Go between the flesh of the fish. Look for the small little bones. Use your fingernail and pull out the bones out of the codfish. If you're unsure, look, do this. If I'm not clear with what I'm chatting, do this. Now, dice the codfish. Use your fingers, break the codfish's flesh apart. To mince, while it's in the pot and stirring, it's gonna break up anyway. So just dice it fine. And ensure to remove all the bones. Turn stove on, put pot to heat. Turn the stove's flame gauge on 4, medium low. For this next step, we're gonna cook the codfish or the salted fish. Ensure the pot is dry. If you're in a hurry, do like me. Use a paper towel to dry out the inside of the pot. Allow the pot to get hot. 20 between 30 seconds. After that, measure and add 2 between quarter cup cooking oil. I am using coconut oil. After 20 between 30 seconds and the oil is hot somewhat, add codfish. Allow the codfish to fry golden brown on each side for 2 between 3 minutes. What you can do too is use enough oil. Fry the codfish, salted fish, crispy, and then remove the oil and leave back just 1 tablespoon. Saute the seasonings and then continue. By sauteing the codfish and the seasonings before cooking, this will add additional flavors not in a bottle, or additional flavors that the vegetables don't have. The codfish is going to suck up the oil. However, don't add more oil. Just allow it to burn samely. After the codfish golden somewhat, add seasonings. Mashed garlic. Add diced onions, diced scallion. Stir it in. Allow it to saute for a few seconds. That's it, finished. Turn the stove off. This took 2 minutes. Use the pan's lid, cover it for the next step. In this next step, we're gonna prepare the rice for cooking. Wash rice. Get a big bowl or a container ready. Measure and add 3 cups rice. I am using white rice. Sprinkle several drops of distilled white vinegar on the rice. You could use parboil. Just use a little bit more water and use the finger guide that I showed you. Now, pour enough water on the rice. Use your hand and fingers. Wash the rice good. Rotate your hand from side to side and around. Wash the rice properly. After that, drain dirty rice water. If you're uncomfortable doing this part, just use a strainer, such as this. And then give rice a final rinse. No, it's best if you do this part on the fresh running water. Rinse the rice 3 between 4 times. On the last rinse, the water should be clear. Move your fingers apart just enough for the water to flow through and not the rice. After that, put the saucepan with the cooked codfish on the stove. And then add washed rice on the cooked codfish in the pot or pan. Now, measure and add 4.5 cups of water. To ensure that you're using enough water when cooking rice, use this guide. I like to use my finger. Put your finger in the water. Let the tip of your finger touch the rice. If the water is at the first bend of your finger or a little bit below, that's enough water. Turn on the stove's flame. Put the stove's gauge on 4, medium-low. Use a fork, stir it in. And then add the shredded pumpkin. Stir it in, stir it in. Stir it in, stir it in. Use the pan's lid, cover it, then open it quarter between halfway. Add springtime, and if you're using pepper, now would be a good time to put it in. Just remember, keep your eyes on it. Keep the pepper on top. Add 2 dried pimento berries. We call it pimento seed. If the seed is big like this, use 2. If it's small, measure a 1/4 teaspoon and use that instead. After 5 minutes on heat, use a fork. Stir it in. Flip the bottom to the top. Stir it properly. Stir it in. And then use the pan's lid. Oh yes. And if using butter, now would be a good time to add a teaspoon between a tablespoon of butter. Cover it. Open it quarter between halfway. Stove's gauge is still on 4. Allow. After 5 minutes more, a total of 10 minutes on 4 medium-low, this is what it looks like. Use a fork. Stir it in. Alright, look. Now, this part is important. You need to stir it in and stir it properly. Make sure you stir in the pumpkin good. Stir it well. You want to distribute the pumpkin evenly in the pot while stirring. Seal the pot. Cover the pot properly. Now would be a good time to turn the stove's gauge flame on very low. Turn the stove's flame gauge on very low. This is how very low flame looks on my stove. And this is how very low flame gauge looks on my stove. This part is important. Allow. After 5 minutes on very low, use a fork. Stir it well. You see what I'm telling you about these time stick? Now would be a look what mess up my stove. Now would be a good time to remove it. Remove spring time stick. After that, use the pan's lid. Cover it properly. Allow. After 5 minutes more, totaling 10 minutes on very low, this is what it looks like. Use a fork, stir it in, stir it well. Flip the top to the bottom and then stir it well. Use the fork, flip the bottom to the top and vice versa. Stir it well. Use the pan's lid, cover it properly. Allow. I can smell the aroma of the salt fish pumpkin rice. It smells good. After 10 minutes more, totaling 20 minutes on very low, this is it. Use the fork, flip the bottom to the top, stir it well, stir it in well. Another way to do this is to wash the rice properly. Add enough water. Add the diced seasonings. Add a tablespoon of oil or butter. Boil the salt fish separate. Scale it, remove the bone, and then mince it. After that, add it in the pot without frying it. Let it cook until it's finished. Use the pan's lid, cover it properly, allow. The stove's gauge is still on very low. Allow. Now, after 10 minutes more, totaling 30 minutes on very low, this is it. The saltfish pumpkin rice looks like this. Now, use the fork, stir it in, stir it in. You can taste it to see if it's cooking properly. At the end of the day, you want to make sure that the rice is not tough in any way. Taste it to see if you're on the right track. This is good. Allow. Use the pan's lid, cover it properly, allow. The stove's gauge is still on very low, allow. I'm gonna let this cook 5 minutes more. After 5 minutes, finished. Turn stove off. This took between 45 minutes to cook. An hour if you want to add in the codfish. And it took about 15 to 20 minutes to prepare everything. If when you're cooking it and the rice is tough, just steam it until the rice gets soft. If you steam it on very low, the rice will never burn, guaranteed. Even for somehow you forgot that you were cooking. Taste it to see if you're on the right track. You can taste it to see if it's cooking properly. At the end of the day, you want to make sure that the rice is not tough in any way. This is good. Cover it until serving. Turn stove off. Finished. Before serving, stir the pot in. And if you want to serve rice fancy, use a cup, a small cup or a small container. Put the rice in the cup. Use a spoon or a fork. Compress the rice in the cup and then put the plate over the cup. Flip it upside down. Use your finger. Hit the cup a few times. Use your finger, tap on the cup to remove the rice. This is salt fish pumpkin rice or codfish pumpkin rice. Visit JamaicanDinners.com for the recipe or JamaicanCookings.com. You should subscribe, like, and share. Try cooking this saltfish pumpkin rice yourself. When you do, give us feedback. Saltfish pumpkin rice. The flavor of this saltfish pumpkin rice is unique. If you already know how pumpkin rice tastes, it doesn't really taste like the pumpkin rice so much. It's like cooking callaloo sometimes. You know, when you use the salted fish in the callaloo, it kind of takes away from the callaloo flavor. It's almost the same thing. You can taste the pumpkin rice. However, the salted fish kind of interfere with the flavor of the genuine pumpkin rice. However, it's there. The meal is not fresh and it's not salt. Because we used salt fish, it's always good to not add salt if you're using salt fish. Even if you wash it, just don't add salt. It just always work out okay. You can't add salt to salt fish. It's gonna make the meal salt, even if you use a little teeny bit. This is a meal that Rastafarians probably will cook. However, if I was cooking this myself, I would make the pumpkin rice separate and then cook the saltfish separate and then serve it with the pumpkin rice as an accompaniment. However, this was requested by Shabazz X. In all, the salted fish pumpkin rice tastes good. This is a nice one-pot meal. You can taste the saltfish mixed into the rice. This is a unique meal. You can taste the seasoning mixed up with the pumpkin and the rice and the saltfish. It makes one good flavor. This meal is filling. Do I have any regrets? Yes. I only wish I had used the 3/4 pound pumpkin. The rule is use 1/4 pound of pumpkin and 1/4 pound of saltfish for every pound of rice. To make this recipe, you don't want to use too much pumpkin, you just want to use the right amount or a little bit less. Until next time, walk good. Yeah, man! Another way to do this is to wash the rice properly. Add enough water. Add the diced seasonings. Add a tablespoon of oil or butter. Boil the saltfish separate. Scale it, remove the bone, and then mince it. After that, add it in the pot without frying it. Let it cook until it's finished.